If a man begins to orbit you like a moth drawn to a flame, yet flinches every time he gets too close to the light, you are not witnessing the simple dance of attraction. You are witnessing a war. This is not the measured, strategic war of a man playing games. It is a chaotic, desperate civil war within his own soul, and you, by your very being, have become the unwilling battleground. He is fighting his deepest attraction to you, not because he does not want you, but because the part of him that wants you is the very part of himself he is most terrified of. The behaviors that emerge from this conflict are not the familiar signals of seduction. They are the strange, erratic symptoms of a spirit in crisis. The first strange behavior you will notice is a form of intense, almost clinical observation. When he is around you, his focus is absolute, but it is not the warm gaze of a lover. It is the cold, piercing stare of a scientist studying a dangerous, unclassifiable phenomenon. He will ask you questions, deep, probing questions about your past, your solitude, your view of the world. But he is not listening to your answers in an effort to connect. He is gathering data. He is searching for a flaw in your logic, a crack in your foundation, a way to categorize and therefore neutralize the unsettling effect you have on him. You represent a reality that is incompatible with the ordered, predictable world his ego has constructed. Your peace feels like a paradox. Your self-sufficiency feels like a challenge. A woman who does not need him, who is not seeking rescue, is a psychic anomaly. His intellect, the tool he has used to conquer every other aspect of his life, becomes his weapon of choice. He tries to dissect your soul, to pin your spirit to a board like a butterfly, believing that if he can just understand the mechanics of your magic, it will cease to have power over him. This intense analysis is always followed by its polar opposite, the second strange behavior, a violent push-pull dynamic. He will create a moment of the most profound, soul-bearing intimacy. He will draw you in, share a vulnerability, make you feel as though you are the only two people in the universe. In this moment, his soul is winning the war. It is reaching for you, craving the wholeness it senses in your presence. Then, just as suddenly, he will vanish. He will retreat into a silence so cold and so absolute it feels like a punishment. His texts will become short, his presence scarce. This is not a calculated move to make you chase. This is the panic button. His ego has sounded the alarm, screaming that the connection is too real, too deep, too transformative. The retreat is an involuntary, desperate act of self-preservation. He is not pushing you away. He is pushing away the terrifying, exhilarating man he is becoming in your presence. This rhythm of intense connection followed by inexplicable distance is the very heartbeat of his internal conflict. This violent oscillation is exhausting for him, and it achieves nothing. He can neither possess you in intimacy nor escape you in distance. The war is a stalemate. Frustrated, his ego, the desperate general of his psyche, resorts to a new and insidious tactic. This is the third strange behavior, a subtle but persistent critique, disguised as concern. He can no longer fight your reality, so he will try to edit it. He will attempt to reframe your greatest strengths as tragic flaws, not with overt criticism, but with the gentle, condescending tone of a self-appointed savior. Your fierce independence? He will frame it as a loneliness you must be suffering from. Your sacred solitude? He will call it building walls and offer to help you tear them down. Your deep, intuitive wisdom? He will patronizingly label it as overthinking and suggest you need to lighten up. Do you see the psychological maneuver at play here? He is trying to pathologize your power. He is attempting to convince both you and himself that your wholeness is actually a wound, a problem that only he has the unique insight to diagnose and the unique ability to heal. This is a desperate bid to re-establish his own necessity. In his world, a man's value is often tied to his ability to solve, to fix, to provide. Your self-sufficiency renders this entire aspect of his identity obsolete. So, if a problem does not exist, his ego must invent one. You will feel this as a strange and unsettling condescension. He will offer unsolicited advice. He will analyze your life as if it were a flawed business plan. You will feel less like a woman he desires and more like a project he is trying to manage. This is a subtle but profound form of devaluation. He is trying to chip away at the foundation of your sovereignty, not because he wishes you ill, but because your throne makes him feel like less of a king. When this fails, when you meet his concern, not with gratitude but with a serene and unbothered smile, his desperation escalates. This leads to the fourth, and perhaps most perplexing behavior, chaotic and inconsistent communication. This is not the strategic silence of the push-pull dynamic. This is a storm of pure psychic static. His messages will become a bizarre mix of intense philosophical musings and trivial, meaningless updates. He might send you a soul-bearing paragraph about the nature of existence, and then follow it up hours later with a one-word answer. He will like your oldest social media posts in the middle of the night. He will engage you in a deep, intense conversation, only to leave you on read at the most crucial moment. This is not a game. This is the sign of a psyche that is losing its coherence. He is fighting a battle on two fronts. One part of him, his soul, is desperately trying to build a bridge to you, sending out signals of depth and meaning. The other part, his terrified ego, is simultaneously trying to sabotage the connection, throwing out static and chaos to jam the frequency. He is both the builder and the demolisher of his own bridge. What you are witnessing in his communication is the literal transcript of his internal war. He is advancing and retreating at the same time, and the resulting behavior appears to the outside observer as erratic, unreliable, and borderline insane. He is not trying. The pressure of this internal war is unsustainable. A psyche, like any fortress under siege, will eventually begin to crumble under a two-front assault. His ego cannot defeat you, and his soul will not abandon you. Trapped in this agonizing limbo, he makes one last, desperate strategic move. This is the fifth strange behavior, and it is an act of profound, unconscious self-deception. He will performatively and publicly align himself with your opposite. He will suddenly and conspicuously begin to spend time with, or perhaps even enter into a relationship with, a woman who is the living embodiment of everything you are not. She will be a safe woman, a woman who is a surface, who plays the game beautifully, who needs his strength and adores his persona. She is pleasant, predictable, and requires nothing of his soul. You will not see this and feel the common sting of jealousy. Instead, you will feel a strange and distant pity because you will recognize the act for what it is, a performance. It is a desperate, theatrical display designed not to wound you, but to convince himself. He is essentially holding up this simple, uncomplicated connection and shouting at his own soul, "See, this is what I want." Not that difficult, soul-transforming depth. This is easy. This is happiness. This is his attempt to choose his ego consciously. He is trying to starve his soul by feeding his persona. He will make sure you see it. He will post pictures. He will talk about her. The display is always a little too loud, a little too perfect. It is the frantic bravado of a man trying to talk himself out of a spiritual truth. He is not choosing her over you. He is choosing the illusion of control over the terrifying and exhilarating reality of his own becoming. He is choosing the comfortable lie over the difficult truth you represent. But you cannot build a life on a foundation of lies. And every moment he spends in the pale, shallow waters of that safe connection will only serve to remind him of the vast, deep ocean he is too cowardly to swim in. This performance is always doomed to fail, and its failure breeds a terrifying internal pressure. The cognitive dissonance becomes unbearable. This leads to the sixth strange behavior: moments of unprovoked irritability and displaced hostility. He will become prickly and short-tempered, but almost never directly with you. The immense psychic pressure built by his internal war must vent somewhere, and since his soul will not allow him to direct his rage at you, and his ego will not allow him to direct it at himself, it explodes sideways. He will become unreasonably angry at the waiter, at the traffic, at a political headline. You will be in his presence and feel the air crackle with a free-floating aggression that has no logical source. This is one of the most revealing signs. His soul is raging at his ego's cowardice, and his ego is raging at his soul's persistence. And you are the silent catalyst for it all. He is a walking pressure cooker. All wars, especially civil wars, must end. The psyche cannot sustain a state of perpetual conflict. It will either achieve a new, higher level of integration, or it will shatter into neurosis. The climax of this man's internal battle arrives with the seventh and final strange behavior, a deliberate and ritualistic act of severance. This is not the passive ghosting of the push-pull dynamic. This is a formal, almost ceremonial execution of the connection. He will choose a moment, often one of inexplicable calm, and he will end things with a sense of finality that feels both shocking and rehearsed. He will deliver a speech, a monologue he has clearly practiced in his own mind. It will be filled with rational, logical-sounding justifications. We want different things. I'm not in a place to give you what you deserve. This is for the best. These reasons will sound hollow and impersonal, like lines from a script. They will have the ring of a man trying to convince himself more than he is trying to convince you. He is not breaking up with a woman. He is performing a desperate exorcism on his own soul. He is trying to kill the part of himself that wants you, and he believes that a formal ending will do the trick. You will feel the strange and tragic truth of this moment. You will sense that the man speaking to you is not the real man, but the ego, the prison warden, standing victorious on the battlefield of his own heart. He will seem eerily calm, almost relieved, like a man who has just narrowly survived a terrible ordeal. He has finally won the war. He has chosen safety over growth, the familiar over the true. He has successfully amputated the part of himself that was capable of evolution. And what is your role in this final, sad ceremony? You let him go. You do not argue with the logic of his speech, because you know it is not based in logic. You do not plead for the connection, because you know the part of him you connected with is not the part that is making this decision. You meet his false certainty with a quiet, compassionate truth. You honor his choice, because to do anything else would be to disrespect your own sovereignty. You do not fight for a man who is not fighting for himself. His relief, of course, will be short-lived. The ego's victory is always a Pyrrhic one. He has not exorcised a demon. He has banished his own angel. He has not escaped a threat. He has locked himself in a prison of his own making and thrown away the only key. The silence that follows